Hello everyone and welcome to Blog Runner Everything and welcome back to the channel and welcome to a match review as we take a look at FC Barcelona's 4-2 penalty win against Real Betis after a match that of course went to extra time, having been tied by two goals. Goals coming from Lewandowski and Fati and Fekir and Claudio Moron. And it was a match that FC Barcelona meant to be a lot harder than it really should have been. And that was really all because of one man and one man only. And this is something I don't know what was doing. But Xavi Hernandez, you decided to make a difficult game out of what was otherwise a straightforward match. Anywho, it's quite late already because this match kicked off, it was Thursday, and this match ended, it's Friday. So yeah, it's one of those days. I'm just going to try and be quick with this recap, just talking about everything that happened and then giving you my thoughts. So as we usually do with match reviews, I am going to give you tactical setup for both teams, then we'll talk negatives and positives. Then we'll get into the team rating and the coach rating, Xavi's rating. Now finally, I'll give you the man of the match. So if you enjoy what you were seeing here so far, please do hit that like button. And if you're new here, do hit subscribe. We would very much enjoy to have you subscribe. Apparently only like 3% of my viewers subscribe, which is like something which is I don't understand. Somebody explain that to me. How does that work? Anyway, let's go ahead and talk tactical setup. And FC Barcelona set up as they usually do in a 4-3-3. And here we saw one of the many curiosities in this game in as far as, decisions that Xavi Hernandez had made. Because I was looking at this team, I was looking at this lineup, and the first thing I was asking myself is Xavi Hernandez, who played at Atletico Madrid, it was quite possibly the perfect defensive performance from our players. And you go ahead and just completely shuffle the defense, like, Jordi Alba is in, Sergio Roberto is in, and anybody who's watched Barca with those guys in particular as our fullbacks, not that I'm attacking them, but you just know how it's ended for us in the past. They're not exactly what you call clutch defense material, right? We didn't hold on to leads specifically with this two man on the pitch. Anywho, it was a back four with Araujo, Roberto, Kunde, and Alba. Of course, Ter Stegen in goals. The midfield three of Gavi, Frankie, and Pedri, which I was looking at and thinking, yes, Xavi, yes, this is it. You're cooking here. The front three of Dembele, Lewandowski, and Rafinha, with Dembele as the left winger. So keep note of that. It's going to be very important. Betis, on the other hand, set up in Mano Pellegrini's favorite. Like, honestly speaking, Pellegrini probably has a lifetime contract signed with the 4-2-3-1 formation. He never changes it. Okay, every team that I have seen him at, from Villarreal to Manchester City to Real Madrid and now Real Betis, they've all used his 4-2-3-1 formation. And he had Iglesias up front with Rodri, Fekir, and Luis Enrique behind them, with Canales and Guido Rodriguez as the double pivot, and Miranda, Felipe Petzela, and Ribao on the back four, with Claudio Bravo in goals. So, without further ado, let's now talk negatives and positives. And I'll start with my negatives as I usually do. And the first of my negatives here, it just first of all has to go to Xavi's in-game management. Seriously speaking, at some point when I was watching this game, I was thinking to myself, by any chance is Xavi Hernandez a fan of Frank Herbert? And has Xavi Hernandez been reading Frank Herbert's Dune series? And does he by some coincidence have a, sympathy that lies with the Bennett Laylax Society in there? Is Xavi Zen Sunni? Because he seems to believe in some ideas that they believe. For example, he seems to believe that when you have your opponent with their backs against the wall, you should always give them a way out of the entrapment that you put them in, a way out of the predicament. Because somebody explained to me what those substitutions on the 60th minute, pulling off Frankie de Jong and pulling off Ousmane Dembele, like exactly what were those substitutions supposed to do, Mr. Xavi Hernandez? I ask. Seriously, I am curious here. You took off your best attacker, on the day because Ousmane Dembele was Barcelona's best attacker on the night, and you took off our best midfielder up until that point as well, right? Well, I mean, granted, Pedri was putting in some sauce, but I think Frenkie de Jong was probably just edging him there because he was dictating the pace of that game. It was Frenkie de Jong who was like slowing things down, quickening it up, running away from opposition players who were trying to press him and the likes, just injecting pace into the game, slowing it down, making that midfield area very difficult for Real Betis. Like, there's a reason why Sergio Canales had to come off at halftime so they can bring on William Carvalho, right? Because Carvalho can at least physically compete more. So you decide to take out your most physical midfielder who was giving you the edge in midfield duels, and then you also take out your best attacker who was helping to pin Real Betis' fullback, and Real Betis are all about fullback play, right? But he was helping to not only pin back their fullback, but also he was making the opposition winger and Luis Enrique do a lot of defending, meaning he couldn't attack your weak fullback in Jordi Alba. And with all of that going in your favor, you decide, I know what I'm going to do. Let me throw on my best friend who can no longer cope with high intensity matches, Sergio Busquets. And also let me throw on, just for good measure, Ferran Torres, who's been out of sorts and doesn't even know how to stay onside at the moment. Honestly speaking, this was going to be a very big rant if FC Barcelona didn't win this game, which they eventually did the hardest way possible, but only because Xavi Hernandez made it so. So that's my first negative. I don't want to dwell too much on it. Of course, the substitutions by Xavi were wrong, and you can throw in Ferran Torres and Sergio Busquets here as being part of the negatives as well, because those performances by them were just like unacceptable, guys. You're not going to be doing that at this level. All right. Of course, we then have to talk about the next negative, which is another one of Barcelona's best friends recently: wasting chances, poor finishing. It's always quite shocking when you see Robert Lewandowski be the one who is most guilty of this. But Lewandowski should have had a hat-trick before halftime. This game should have been dead and buried by then. And FC Barcelona shouldn't have had to make me watch extra time, which I knew was always going to end with penalties. Because honestly speaking, at this point I'm thinking of just making a vow to say I shouldn't watch extra time, just knowing from the fact that Barcelona are always going to try and go to extra time, even when they shouldn't, even when they could win a match within 45, never mind 90 minutes. Anywho, let's move on from negatives, guys. Let's talk some positives. We did have some here. Okay, I thought the performances from, like I said, Frenkie de Jong, from Gavi, from Pedri, from Ter Stegen as well, and also that cameo from Ansu Fati. I thought we did see some good performances from them, and it was good in particular to see Ansu Fati not only get a peach of a goal, but also score his penalties. That was pretty good, and I think the fact that we won a match on penalties, that's pretty big. I didn't think this team has the collective mentality to be able to get through a penalty shootout. Thankfully, Claudio Bravo was really trash on the penalties, and Ter Stegen was like extra motivated. He was like, it's cool, scored the first two, I'm saving the next two. And then of course our players were all able to score their penalties, which I am happy with. So I can move on now and talk team rating. Now, in my last match review, the one against Atletico Madrid, I was rather harsh when it came to team rating, owing to the fact that the team didn't really finish off chances the way that they should have. They didn't, finish their food. And that was pretty much the case here as well. They didn't, but I'm still going to stick with the same rating this time around. It's a 6.5 again, because I did see a lot of things that I liked in that first half, particularly when Ousmane Dembele was getting on the ball and Pedri and Gavi were pushing high up, trying to make those runs, beyond Robert Lewandowski. And Rafinha as well was doing a pretty good job of picking out people's runs. So I did enjoy quite a few things in that game that I saw for the team. So a 6.5 in this case, just barely, although you know what? No, this is a 6. I just downgraded it because I thought about it too much. Let's move on now and talk Xavi Hernandez. And Xavi, this time around, my man, I'm giving you a 5 out of 10. here is the thing about Xavi, okay, and the way that he set up in this game. His tactical setup was on point. All right, I didn't agree with the players that he picked, but the setup worked. It did what it needed to do. Betis were being suffocated. They were barely creating any chances. Of course, they had a chance which came from like a mix-up between Koundé and Ter Stegen. And beyond that, Real Betis didn't really create chances here. And because of that, I was thinking, this could be an 8 out of 10 for Xavi. It could be an 8 out of 10. But then, second half happened, and the substitutions happened. And maybe if he had made those substitutions with like Busquets and Ferran Torres coming on at separate times and not at the same time, but honestly speaking, Xavi's in-game management in this particular match, as well as the Atletico de Madrid match as well, I thought it was pretty poor, and I think that's what he really needs to work on. So like he had a 7 out of 10 setup, which in-game was earning him an 8 out of 10, but then his substitutions and timing was like 3 out of 10. Really, only Ansu Fati is the only substitution that worked for him here, and that one was pretty obvious because Ansu should have come on before Ferran. But anywho, 4.5 out of 10 here for Xavi. Yeah, I think I may have said 5 earlier, but it's gone down. It's now 4.5 out of 10. Man of the match is now my final thing, which I have to do. Probably been going on longer than I should have anywho. So I'm just going to quickly name the man of the match. As of course, Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. He made some very big saves in this game. Aside from the penalty shootout, like he could have probably not even reached penalties if he didn't make some very good saves that he made within the first 90 minutes of the game. And of course, he then added to that with the 2 saved penalties, being the penalty kick hero, being the penalty shootout hero. Yeah, being the penalty shootout hero. So thank you, Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. You are the Blogger Everything man of the match. And that is that, ladies and gentlemen. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section, like what were your negatives and positives? Did I miss anything out? And who was your man of the match as well? Otherwise, thank you for tuning in. Have a great day, and Forza Barca.